In today's lesson, we're going to be learning just some basics about the coordinate plane. That's where we graph. It's the x and y axis, okay? And so it's a grid formed by the horizontal line, which is the x-axis, and the vertical line. And it looks like this. There's a whole lot of information here, though. There are quadrants. Now remember the root word quad means four. So there's four sections. There's this top section over here, which is quadrant 1. And then we're going to go in counterclockwise in a circle kind of around here. Counterclockwise is the opposite of the way the clock would go, right? So we have quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? This is going to help us sort of identify a little quicker where our point needs to go. If you notice in quadrant 1, if you look along the axis here, these are all positive values, so x is positive. Y is also positive, okay? So if I put a point over here, it's going to be where both x and y are positive. If I need to put a point, let's say over here, I'm trying to put it right on that corner. Let's see what happens. I have to go this way on my x before I go up. So I'm going to have a negative x. And then I go up to a positive y. And that actually, for some reason, is over here. I got everything else to pop up on the grid and not that one. Okay. So here, same kind of thing. If I put a dot way over here, I would go down here to negative 10. Well, actually, I would go over to negative 10 first, but then down to negative 10. So I have both a negative x and a y value. And then in quadrant 4, you're going to see that x, I would have to go this way. So I could be over here. And then y, I have to come down here. So my x is positive and my y is negative. Okay? You're going to have questions like that saying, oh, if you have a positive x and a negative y, what quadrant would you find, that's a comma by the way, what quadrant would you find that point in? So you're going to kind of come over here and say, okay, well these are my positive x's, these are my negative y's. So if I were to make a little square, it would be this way. So it has to be in quadrant 4. Okay, so we're just going to identify 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what it says over here. Identify the quadrants by the sign, whether it's positive or negative of the x or y values. So then all these x's and y's that I'm talking about give us an ordered pair. It's an ordered pair because they're always in the same order. Look at what letter always comes first. It is always x, then y. And you can think of it as being in alphabetical order because it is. Okay, so that's the ordinate pair, and it gives the coordinate location. That sounds fancy. Basically, the ordered pair tells you where it is. It tells you the location of point. And we're going to work with that. X is always first, like I said. And so what that means, if I have 0.20, I would go over to 2 on my x coordinate. I'm not sure, I didn't review this fully. So when x is 2 and y was 0, I believe, that means I go over to the 2 on the x, but stay to the where 0 is on the y. Okay, that's actually called an intercept. We're going to be working a lot with points that are intercepts. So think of it as kind of like a map, and your coordinate pair gives you the location. The sign helps you with the direction, okay? So if x is negative, you go that way on the number line, right? The x is like your number line. And if x is positive, the numbers get bigger that way. And the y is kind of like a thermometer. If y is negative, the temperature drops. If it's positive, you go up. And we're going to talk about all kinds of neat ways to remember which one comes first. Some students like to say you have to crawl across the floor before you can stand up and walk. That's a great one. Okay. That actually is a great one. And there's a couple other things we'll talk about in class to help you remember which one to do first, okay? Let's practice a few of these here. If I wanted to graph point A, which is at 2, 9, remember 2 is the x, so I have to find where 2 is here, and then I go up to where 9 is. Ooh, that's supposed to be right on that corner there. So it's kind of like a multiplication grid where you go to, and then the 9 comes out, and that's the corner where they meet. Now, when graphing a point, you certainly would not have these big lines. You just want the point. That was just a visual to show you why the point goes there. It's where my x value is 2 and my y value is 9. Okay, so try the second one for yourself. Try to picture where it's going to be on here. You don't have to spend that much time drawing these graphs in your notebook. That would take forever. Unless you have graphing paper, you can set one up quickly. But just sort of eyeball it. You can put your fingers on the screen. You can't see my fingers, but I would go over to where 7 is. So I'm going to go over to 7, and I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and put my point there. Again, this line, both of these lines would not be here, but you can't see me pointing at my screen right now, so I have to do something. Okay? When I am done graphing, this should be all that's showing. And now I could make a line out of these. I would take a ruler if I was trying to freehand, and I am trying to freehand, but I would just draw a line with a ruler that would go through both of these, and the line goes on forever. Now let's look at point C and D over here on the second graph, because now it's not 2 and 9, it's -2. Now remember, the numbers get negative when you go left, so I have to go over 2, and now I don't go up 9, I go down 9, which is like down here. That was a bad example, or a bad graph to only go to 6, but that's where it would be. And again, you would not have any of that on your graph. -7 and -6. Again, I would start by going this way to 7, and then all the way down to 6. So it would be there. And my line would go this way, connecting those 2 points. Now, we're not going to be graphing lines or anything just like that. I'm just kind of showing you where we're eventually going to be graphing some lines. We're going to be able to figure out how to find points and graph. For now, we're just going to, I was going to try to move the line only. We're just going to try to graph the points. So you would have your point here and over here at this corner if the 7 was there. Let's see if you can look at a graph and find the location. It's kind of like you're writing its little address down, okay? So let's find, I guess I have some of the answers up here, but I'm not sure. Let's call this A and B. And yeah, I guess I had the first one there. So I would go over 4 and down 4. So on my x-axis, I crossed at 4. And then at my y-axis, it comes across at -4. Okay, let's try point B. I know that one wasn't there. And I'll do that in a different color so you can see. So I'm going to come over here and go down. So let's see where I crossed. I went down at -4 was my x, because this is x, and then it looks like -3 for the second one. What if I put a point right here? How many did you go over and how many did you go up? Put your over first, up or down second. Okay, that would be point C. That would be point C. Okay. Try to find the location of this red point over here and describe to me where it is. I would go to the left 4, that's right here, and I would go down 3. Okay, And I already showed you how to connect the dots to make a line, and I don't think we're really going to worry about it right now. I think for today, we're just going to focus on ordered pairs, how to read a graph like this. If I were to put this over here, you would know that that is at, I went over 3, and then I went up 3. And if I do that, if I literally go over 3, then up 3, you should land right there. Okay, no dot on any graph needs to be that big, but these are always in parentheses as well with a comma in between. If you've noticed, everything I've written has that formula, parentheses, comma between, parentheses, comma between. That comma is important because how do you know if I'm saying 14? So that one's pretty obvious that the comma is necessary. And you keep going up. You need to be able to plot a point, and you need to be able to know what coordinates are where. And if your x or your y is going to be negative, and that might seem challenging with all this information I put down here, but really, if you see a point over here, just say, look at these numbers, they're positive, and these numbers are negative. Okay, good luck.